Well, hello. I'm Miss Ruth Beard, and here we are again. Here we are. Uh, I want to tell you a little bit about who I am and why I'm doing this, okay? I am a woman who's been doing these uh, different services in my life as a healthcare professional, a behavioral healthcare professional for a long, long time. And as I have gotten to a stage where I am ready. I'm ready to transition. I'm ready to transition. And these lives came about because I realized that I have folks out there like you who I can talk to, who I can share my thoughts with, and where some of the things that I've learned over the many years that I've done these, I guess I need to call it therapy, counseling, work with people, that I can shift. I give a lot of thought now to how to make meaning and bring meaning into the world of people who I care about and also touch the lives of people who are looking for understanding. So this an introduction to say I bring wisdom. That's why I call myself Miss Ruth Wisdom. And I bring opportunities to talk with Miss Ruth because I've learned that there are things about daily living that, if shared in a simple, practical, down to earth message, can have significant meaning in people's lives and the lives of people around them. So the way we're going to about it today, what I'm going to get into today is looking at how to move through your day and the choices that you make as you're doing it. That sounds pretty simple, right? How to move through your day. We all got to move through our day. And we're also making choices that we may feel great about or we may wonder about, but mostly we want to feel great about it. Mostly we want to feel like the choices I made and how I showed up made sense to me, or I had the clarity and I feel okay about myself that I can reflect on what I learned and be ready for the next time I have an opportunity to do me. So we've been talking about be, live, and do you. Be, live, and do you. I want to say welcome to my dear cousin, Nancy Annette. So Nancy's been with me on this journey. I'd like to invite you. I'd like to invite you, please, to give me a shout out. I see there are 8 people here, but I only see in my chat 2 people. Rebecca Lamar, hey girl, and Nancy Annette. Who are the rest of the 8 people out there? LaShonda, hey girl. It gives me life, y'all. It gives me energy to know who I'm talking to, because at this point, everybody I'm talking to, I know, and I know your story. That helps me know that what I'm sharing is hitting home. The the topic, I'm looking up here at my notes, choices that we make along the way each day. I chose it on purpose. Hey, Harriet. No, Noel is a brother. He's my brother. I'll put it that way. He's the brother of my son-in-law, and he's been hanging with me too on these Miss Ruth lives, and it's been a real pleasure to know that it makes a difference to him to hear these messages. So thank you, Noel, for coming on. I give a lot of thought before I do these. I kind of go into a mind space because I've been a therapist for a long time. And I don't want to talk clinical. No, I'll say it another way. I'm not going to talk clinical. I intend to talk with down to earth clarity about doing you. I've had some feedback from some people who said that some of the simple one-liners and low-hanging fruit that I talk about each time, they think about it during the time between sessions, and that makes me smile. That makes me happy. That makes me happy because the reality is that in every decade of life, every decade, and I get to see it firsthand at my age, doing this work as long as I've done it, I have clients in every decade. I have 20s, 50s, 80s. And the beauty of that perspective is life just keeps lifing. Life keeps giving us something to think about and show up for. And when we go into our experiences, knowing that we've got time ahead of us, also knowing that it's normal to have moments that are very human moments of fear, anger, uncertainty, discomfort, loss, grief, and for a whole lot of people, worry. Worry is a constant friend of some people. And what I'm here for is to offer the life principles that are common in so many teachings. And let me share something with you. This morning, I was sitting there thinking about what I'm going to do on live, and I had a text from a dear friend saying that she had been following me and that the messages that I was sharing are consistent with Buddhist teaching. She is a Buddhist teacher par excellence in Chicago. And we had this conversation, we had a brief conversation over the phone where she helped me remember that we use the word self in a lot of different ways. We talk about self-confidence, self-esteem, self-awareness, inner self. And what she reminded me is that some of the roles, a lot of the roles we play in life are versions of ourself, and that they have the meaning for the situations where we chose them and for the situations that chose us. Underneath those roles, those different selves, there's the greater self. the self that we've been talking about in the previous live sessions. And that is the self that knows who you are. That is the self that's been on this journey with you from day one, where your values live, where your sense of purpose lives, where that inner guide that's always there, always talking to you, but gets hijacked by the anger, the fear, the worry, the apprehension, the trying to anticipate and stay ahead of the situation. Those are normal human reactions. It's all about biochemistry. It's all about how the brain, mind all works together to create imbalance. There's another word that's real common: self-care. Now, I have people say, yeah, my self-care, I go get a manicure and a pedicure. My girls and I are going on a girls' trip. I go play tennis. I run. All of those are good things. They're good activities. They're things that bring you joy. Sitting, breathing, listening to music, meditating, doing those things that give you quiet, put you in, I'm going to say this, I know it's going to sound woo-woo to some of you. It puts you in a vibrational place where you can feel more gratitude, more joy, more calm. Being intentional about those practices of being outside and listening to the birds, breathing fresh air, walking alone or with someone who gives you space to be quiet, gives you awareness and a touch point in that self that supports you when you are feeling hijacked by those emotions that I keep listing, but I don't want to keep saying, because it gives them value. It gives them value. And when you give value and you give importance and you sit in them, they carry you into another place. And I'm not going to go into the biochemistry of it all, but it does. It changes your whole hormonal balance. And as a result, bottom line, you can't see clearly. You can't see and think as clearly as you have the ability to when you've been hijacked by those intense feelings. So what has Miss Ruth been doing? And what do we continue to do? I talk about giving yourself the opportunity to take situations where there's not a lot of risk for you communicating differently or acting differently. And it's made me laugh. It's made me smile when I've had some people tell me over these weeks that I've been doing these sessions that the statement no means no. No is a sentence. It was really helpful for them. Yes, it is. You can say no, Or you can say nothing that means no. Another way to practice holding on to your peace, being calm when you start feeling those situations that are causing you to get into your feelings, is to say, I need to stop right now. I'm not ready to to get into this right now. I'll get back to you, and do get back to them. The one liner that I learned recently when I was in a situation where people were talking about something, and they were talking about something in a way that they was authoritative, very authoritative about something that I know very well and have experienced in many ways in travel. And I didn't know what to do. And I got real animated. And I went over to the host and I said, they're saying things. And she said, well, why don't you just tell them that you had a different experience? And Miss Ruth, the guide, was learning again what we all learn. I got hijacked. It didn't occur to me that I was in a safe place. And at that time that I spent reacting, I had the opportunity to just say, I had a different experience when I was in that country. I know I didn't expect them to think anything different because their position was so strong. But had I done that, I wouldn't have ridden that emotional roller coaster for the few minutes that I did. I know that we all find ourselves in those situations where having in your repertoire of responses where you start feeling a certain kind of way can help you through the situation. So yes, no is a complete sentence. I'm not ready to talk about that right now. Here's another one. I know you see it that way. That's a really good one when someone is saying what they are saying and you know better than to argue with them, or you have in the past and you know it's no point and you want out. So an out is, I know you think about it that way, or I know you see it that way. Another way to, if you're going to say more, is I've had a different experience and I see it a little differently. Got me? I'm cool if any of you who are on here want to throw some questions at me about things that we could play with in terms of one-liners. I have to say that I am the queen of one-liners, and I also am very skilled at reframing. Reframing is another life skill. Reframing is when you are committed to no longer saying the same thing over and over and over. That's one example. Another example, and one that I use, is for myself. I avoid using negatives in describing a situation, a person, myself. So let me give you an example. I'm not going over there again because those people don't respect me. They don't talk to me. It always ends up in something that I can't stand. So a way to reframe that is I'm learning that when I go there, I need to be prepared. I need to be prepared because I've experienced it enough times that I should either arrive early and get and greet and then leave before certain people arrive, or At the point that there may be 3 drinks in, I'm going to exit. I've spoken my truth. I've affirmed it. What's another one? Somebody send me a situation here that you want some help with. The point being, while I wait, the point that I keep getting back to is that you have in you, available to you, skills, life experiences, many, many successes that you forget about when you're all hooked up into your feelings. Or, we talked about this last time, when your default, when you get hijacked, is to avoid. The thing we know about avoidance, the thing I'm going to remind you about avoidance, is avoidance does not prevent the situation from returning. It's deferring until you can get yourself back together to move forward. But it avoids you having an opportunity to practice some of the low-hanging fruit that come up when we have our talks together. Avoidance doesn't build strength. Avoidance keeps you using the same habits. Having clarity, having confidence, using situations to practice some things that your inner self is telling you is ready to do gives you greater readiness, increased confidence when you get to the next situation that you never thought in a million years you would handle differently. This is real talk about life challenges, life opportunities, ways to live it with confidence, clarity, self-integrity. Self-integrity. Noel said options, opinions. Say more to me, Noel, what you need from me. I love it. I love it. Keep talking to me. I like to hear other options without necessarily agreeing with them, okay? From me or from other people who you're around. I love it, you guys. You know, I've been doing these lives without having these chats here to help me keep my energy up. And this is just great. Let me look over here at my notes and see if there's more that I wanted to say. It's amazing to me that I get through so much of the thinking and the talking and the goal for each session. I have more time, so I'm going to ask you another question. You can answer it on this chat, or you can text me at just seeking my wisdom. All right, any wisdom, huh? You can text me, you can email me at missruthwisdom@gmail.com. My text phone number is 404-771-1950. The reason I'm giving you that is to ask you what topics you'd like to hear me get into next. I'm going to tell you what I've been thinking about. I've been thinking about forgiveness. Forgiveness is something, it's a really difficult topic. It's one I frankly have avoided. I came up on a way to, Erica says self awareness. I came up on a way to think about forgiveness that I would like to share with you and talk with you about. What if forgiveness is getting to a place that you can think about it, put it over there in that same box where you keep fear, anger, worry, anxiety, and let it be in the past where it should be. Because when you haven't forgiven, you haven't placed it in another place where it really belongs. It comes alive in the present. And you know what we're all about in our conversation is how to stay clear and anchored in your strength, in your peace, even when certain things that are painful come up into your memory. So, forgiveness. Now, here's the other one that I'm working on and thinking about for our conversation: closure. Closure is something I hear a lot of people who are clients or are just people who are in conversation talking about their objective with another person. Or I can't move on until I get closure. Cause, honey, you've had closure. I'm talking about any relationships. I see you, Miss Sheldon. Closure sometimes already exists. You just want to keep talking about it, and you have an illusion in your mind that if you say a certain thing, for me, the way it comes up is people saying, we need to go to a therapist so that we can get some closure. And my reaction nowadays is a therapist can't do anything more than has already happened. What you think? They got a magic wand? Therapists can't do any more than this situation has already offered you. The person has, by their behavior, given you closure. You're just still trying to work on it in your mind. Of course, with grief, that's a different kind of closure. And we could do grief. I would not do grief and closure in the same conversation. I would not do grief and closure in the same conversation. Let me know. Yes, yes, yes. Rebecca said grief and closure are definitely the same thing. Not the same thing. Loss is significant, and loss changes a life when the loss is unexpected and traumatic. You'll notice that in our conversation so far, I have not talked about trauma, but please believe that everything I say, everything that I prepare is holding high in my mind and in my heart that trauma is a part of the human experience, and everything that I offer is consistent with supporting, guiding through trauma and loss, and claiming again the source of wholeness, peace that lives in you. So you got my email, missruthwisdom@gmail.com. My text, you can text me at 404-771-1950. Thank you. Thank you and be well. Thank you for being with me on this Miss Ruth journey. Good night.